Hello, everybody. How are you? How are things in your world? It's April 1st, April Fool's Day. We made it thus far in 2020, and what a ride it has been. Now, this video is going to be about Charlotte, North Carolina, but real quick, we're going to talk about a little bit about what's going on here in the world with the global pandemic. It'll just be about 60 seconds, but I wanted to give a salute, a tip of the hat, a heartfelt thank you to the doctors, the nurses, the surgeons, the frontline medical personnel, such as paramedics, ambulance drivers, emergency room technicians, the support staff at the hospitals and the medical centers. Anybody that is fighting to handle the onslaught of cases as the dramatic rise in coronavirus cases continues to escalate around the world, and especially around our country, the United States of America. I think we now lead the world. The challenge being that in the next few weeks, the cases will continue to escalate, overwhelming our medical system, not enough beds. And in fact, along those lines, another tip of the hat to the supply chain personnel working feverishly around the clock to get the supplies to the doctors and nurses and other medical staff who have been fighting valiantly without even the proper supplies. So as the cases begin to rise even higher and we run out of beds, it's going to get really hairy, and their job will be even more demanding. So their unending 12 to 20-hour days are just going to continue, and I don't care who you are. You start breaking down after a while. So do what you can to support your local medical staffs. That said, the quarantines continue, and this video will hopefully give you some diversion during those endless days at home with the screaming kids. So what is happening? This is a parody channel. This is a parody video. We're going to talk about Charlotte, North Carolina. In this video, we're just going to get kind of a thumbnail sketch of what will happen the rest of this week. Every week, I take a different city, and we explore the culture, the sports, the economy, the geography, the nightlife, the history, and the business world, and we kind of get down into the weeds on what is going on. And I take about 5% at the end. At the end of it, you have about 5% actual facts, and then 95% baloney that I've made up using those facts. So in other words, if you've got a master's thesis, you don't want to use this video as your resource. You'll get kicked out of school. And then your options will go down because you've put your faith into a world in which higher education is valued, but everyday common sense is not. And you don't trust yourself because you've relied on the grades you've gotten over the years as validation of your self-worth. Oh, wow. Well, that took a turn. That took a turn. That took a turn. So if you don't know Charlotte, let's get right into it. Charlotte is the largest city in North Carolina, and this is what's interesting about these videos. As I said, I try to do a different video every week. Sometimes we miss a week based on global pandemics and other problems, but nonetheless, it allows me to find out more about these cities. And like Jacksonville, for example, I've known about forever. Everybody knows Jacksonville. Everybody knows Charlotte. But how much do you really know about Charlotte? And this is embarrassing, but I went a large part of my life thinking Charlotte was on the Atlantic Ocean. Charlotte is not, in fact, on the ocean. It's on the oceans of our minds, but it is not on the physical Atlantic Ocean. It is near, not on, but near the South Carolina border in the southern part of North Carolina and sort of the middle of the state. It is the most populous city in the state. It's the county seat of Mecklenburg. And a recent census puts the population of the city right around 900,000, putting it in the top 20 of the United States. But really, if you look at the area, what we might call the greater area, you're talking about 2.5 million people out there. I mean, 1.5 million of them are tobacco farmers. Let's see, 16, blah, 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 shamalama ding dong. The city was named for Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. Now, who the heck was Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz? I'm glad you asked. She was the wife of King George III. Now, listen to this. She was born in 1744. Now, follow me on this. She was born in 1744. The city of Charlotte was settled in 1755. Now, it was incorporated in 1768. So even if you go by the incorporation date, she was 22 when she got her own city in the New World. All right, so not bad. But of course, she was the queen. See what I'm saying? She was the queen of it all. She was the queen of Great Britain and Ireland, married to King George III. Now, in 1801, those two kingdoms merged, and then she was the queen consort of the combined United Kingdom. And then she died in 1818. That was a pretty good run, 1744 to 1818, right? 56, 66, and 76, 74. Did I do that right? That was a pretty good run. I mean, think about in those days, think about all the different things that could take you out, man. All the different diseases and everything. They could knock you out. So to get to be that old, of course, she probably got some pretty good medical care. But it still boggles my mind. Now, she was born in 1744, and they settled Charlotte. Now, did they name Charlotte? They settled the area, but did they name it Charlotte after her when she was 9? Let me get my cousin Bobby on the phone. Do you guys know Cousin Bobby from Chillicothe? I don't think we've introduced Cousin Bobby quite yet to these videos. So let's give him a call and find out what he thinks about this, because I find this fascinating. Maybe he knows more. Hello? Cousin Bobby, hey, it's Joe. What the hell are you calling me at this hour for? You know I got to get my sleep. I'm getting up to milk them cows, Joe. If I don't milk them cows, we don't get the milk to the people of America, and they don't get their vitamin D. Cousin Bobby, you have 3 cows. Yo, I got myself a dairy farm up here outside of Chillicothe, and I don't need you calling me at 9 o'clock at night. 9 o'clock at night? What? Listen, you're going to get up. Look, you're going to get up at 5, then you're going to roll back over and then wake it back up at 7:30, and then maybe you'll pull the udders on 2 cows and call it a morning. No, you don't need to tell me what to run my farm. I mean, Joe, I've been doing this all my life while you've been making dumb videos. Well, listen, that's why I called. Because we're doing a video series about Charlotte, and I thought I'd give you a call because this, first of all, I wanted to introduce you to the fans. You've got a lot of people watching these videos, and I knew you'd have a strong opinion on this. They named the town of Charlotte after the Queen of Great Britain, but she was born in 1744, and Charlotte was settled in 1755. Now, in your opinion, does that mean that they named the town of Charlotte after an 11-year-old girl or something like that? 1744? Yeah, like an 11... Yo! Look, hey, up in Canada, they got Victoria, BC. Now, that was named after Queen Victoria, Joe. I know that, and I went to the Chillicothe public school system, okay? I mean, there weren't a lot of Harvard graduates coming out of there, and even I know something. So it does not surprise me at all, Joe, that they were able to name Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a fine city. I mean, every Marlboro Red, Joe, I've ever smoked, I'm sure it came right out of right out of Charlotte. But I'm just saying, Joe, I don't find it. I mean, look at Joe. Right here in Ohio, we had a town named after an 8-year-old kid. All right, and it's Portsmouth, Ohio. And they used to call him Portsmouth. Portsmouth was named after a kid named Paul Portsmouth. Now, Paul Portsmouth was an 8-year-old kid. He had a 15,000 house newspaper route. And when it came time to name the city, they go, well, who does everybody know and love in this city? And they all knew their paper boy, Joe. They called him Portsmouth Paul. So they named the city after that kid. Okay, that was his name. So it does not surprise me that they named Charlotte, North Carolina, a fine city of tobacco farmers, after this queen. I mean, Joe, it makes me wonder, all those years you were in Canada, Joe, you probably were skipping school. You don't even know this stuff. Well, no, Cousin Bobby, I know. I mean, I was just saying to the fans that part of the benefit of these videos is I'm learning so much about these cities, like Jacksonville. I didn't know Jacksonville was one of the first cities in the whole United States. Joe, they've got a wet T-shirt contest in Jacksonville every spring. Of course, it was one of the first cities. They've been having those wet T-shirt contests since the 1700s. I don't think that's true. Joe, you call me up at 9 o'clock at night. I'm trying to get my sleep so I can get up and milk the cows. And now you're doubting my official statement on this issue? Well, listen, because your official statement. What are you the ambassador to Charlotte from Ohio? Joe, I mean, I could have been a politician, but I decided to make my mark right here in Chillicothe. All right, well, listen, I think we've heard enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Cousin Bobby from Chillicothe, there he goes. We'll check in with Cousin Bobby from time to time. I just find that humorous. So there you go, Cousin Bobby weighing in, but I find that fascinating. Probably when they settled it in 1755, they didn't have the name quite yet, and they named it when it was incorporated in 1768, at which point she was like 20-some years old, right? Am I following this? All right. So what else? 2.2 million people. Charlotte, blah, 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 was named after Charlotte. So what's going on? Like, what is happening in this city? Okay. What is there to do? If you live there, what is there to do? So some of the attractions include the Wells Fargo Championship, the Charlotte Hornets in the NBA, the Carolina Panthers, and then the NFL. You've got the NASCAR Hall of Fame. You've got the NASCAR All-Star Race. A lot going on. Now, if you don't like sports, they've got the Charlotte Ballet. They've got the U.S. National Whitewater Center. I guess that's sportsy. You've got the Carowinds Amusement Park and the Children's Theater of Charlotte. There's lots going on. But it's a medium-sized city, but I mean, they've got big-time sports, so, right? So it's not Dallas, but it's pretty close. So the beauty of these kinds of cities is it's not quite as congested and chaotic, but you have big-time attractions. So now, what about the weather? What about the climate? So the town itself is east of the Catawba River, and then it's southeast of Lake Norman, right? Now, what is Lake Norman? Lake Norman, believe it or not, guys, it was created in the late 50s, early 60s, and is the largest, the biggest man-made lake in North Carolina. So you know there's some catfishing and fishing going on there. Some fly fishing in Lake Norman. But that's not the only thing going on. There's the other there's a couple other man-made lakes in the area. One of them is Mountain Island Lake, and then you've got Lake Wiley. Lake Wiley. Okay? What else? So you've got a lot of banks. A lot of banks. And now what's going on? Well, that makes me a little bit suspect. Why are there so many banks in this little town, this medium-sized town? I mean, you've got Wells Fargo. You've got Trust Financial. Or you've got Bank of America. I mean, it's well, since the mid-'90s, it's one of the largest banking centers in the United States. What? So we got to find out more about that. That makes me suspect. What's going on that you need all these banks? So, all right. So, what do you call a Charlotte? What if you're from Charlotte? What are you known at? What do they call you? A Charlotte, a Charlotter, a Charlatan? That's exactly right. A Charlatan. Charlatan. Now, that sounds kind of awkward, right? Charlatans from the east side to the west side and from the north to the south. Charlatans all agree. I don't know. Sounds kind of weird. So anyway, back to the weather. A humid subtropical climate. So if you've ever been to middle of North Carolina in June or July, oh, put your hands on the television set and feel the power. It's humid. So you're going to need to take a shower after you take a shower, 5 minutes later. But, that's what you get for living in paradise. What other broad brushes? Oh, by the way, if you want more information on Charlotte, go to charlottenc.gov, charlottenc.gov. All right, well, I think that covers it. We're just going to do the broad brushstrokes right now in this intro video. Then we're going to get down into it. We're going to start with the history. We're going to look at what were the Native American tribes in the area when the Europeans came rolling over the horizon and ruined everything. We're going to look at the geography, the media, the infrastructure, the education, the culture, the demographics of the city. You're going to know more about Charlotte by the end of this week than you ever cared to know in your gosh darn life. All right? So let's call that a video. Come on back for more, man. Come on back for more. You know you want more. You know you want more. Come on back and we'll give it to you.